Hello everyone, it is Caitlin and today we are making another 1830s cap. Alright, so the cap we're making today is actually the very first cap listed in directions. So it's on page 125 for me, maybe different for you based on the edition you have. But it says cap for a young lady, and it is plate, it's the normal plate. Plate 13, yes? Plate 15. Plate 13 is figures 1 and 2, so it's just there's a pattern, there's the cap made up. And it says for a young lady, but it also says for an invalid because it is not apt to being crushed when you lay back on a sofa. So, I think it'll work quite well. I'm not technically a young lady anymore, by 19th century standards, I don't think. Considering in the year 1836, which is usually what I will do, I have a 8-year-old son, 9-year-old son, he's somewhere in there. So technically not a young lady, but it also does say for invalids as well, so I think it's kind of more of a versatile cap, which is why I'm going to make it up today. Okay, I'm going to read the directions full on, the whole thing here, and then we'll break it down as we work through the cap. It says this is a pretty simple cap for a young lady or invalid, as it is not liable to be crushed by lying on a sofa. Take a piece of paper 4 nails and a quarter long and 5 nails and a quarter wide. Curve out nearly half a nail from the top, A, to the width of half a nail at the bottom, E, to form the part that is set around the face. From the corner J to F is 2 nails and a half. Cut in a straight line from E to F and from F to H in a slanting direction. The point H is being 1 nail and a half from the bottom and 1 nail and a quarter from the side. Cut into the cap from H to C, also sloping a quarter of a nail, and then round it gradually up to B. When you cut out your cap, be careful that the net is doubled at D. In making up this cap, join it neatly from F to H and then gather the crown BC into small pieces HC. Hem it from E to F. Run a color ribbon into the string case, hem or bind it in the front, and make one broad runner to contain a ribbon which sets it off. A small bow may be put at H, and any simple trimming of loops and bows in between the borders. So let's go ahead and start with the first part, which is take a piece of paper 4 nails and a quarter long by 5 nails and a quarter wide. So a nail is 2 1/4 inches. And so width, I need it about 9.5, just over. It's 9.56. So the length of one piece of paper should be good. And the other one said 5 nails and a quarter, which is 11 and a little bit. It's 11 and 11.8. I'm pretty sure that this spot is A, and it does say half a nail from the edge. Yes, half a nail from the bottom, so that would make sense. So half a nail is just 1 1/8 inches. I'll mark that as A. What does it say to do next? So, and then E, which I'm assuming is this top part, yes? Sure, we'll pretend that that's E. It's a really hard one to read up in this corner. But it says the part that goes across the face, and that is the part that goes across the face. I understand pattern making enough to understand that. So, pretty sure that's E. And E goes all the way to the top, and at the width of this curve, it has a little half there, which I assume is half a nail. Yes, nearly half a nail from the top. Okay. So, it's not directly in the middle here of this curve, but at some point I need to be 1 1/8 inches from here. From the corner J to F, and now I gotta find J to F. F is here. No, it's not. F is at the bottom. Okay. J is this very corner. F is here. So from J to F is 2 nails and a half, which is right between 5.5 and 5 3/4 inches. And it looks like a straight line from A to F, yes? Cut a straight line from E to F. Well, we're going to say that was a typo and it's supposed to be A to F. Because I can clearly see on that pattern that it's not a straight line from here to here. I can very clearly see that it's from here to here. So we're going to call that a typo. From F to H in a slanting direction. Let's find out where H is. I'm seeing like 3. I'm seeing C, X, and H. I'm pretty H is this corner right here. And so, what does it say? H being 1.5 nails from the bottom and 1 1/4 from the side. It's right between 3 1/4 and 3 1/2. I'll make a long line over here. That way it'll just catch wherever I go. And the one from the side is 1 1/4. And this 3 point. And it is a straight slanting, well, a slant line. Straight from H to F. So we're going to cut into the cap from H to C, also sloping and gradually rounding it to B. Well, I need to know how far away C is, because that doesn't tell me anything. 1/4 of a nail is what it says. There are other symbols in here, and I'm wondering if they're telling me how far away to go, but I can't read them. Because the engraving is so small. But it certainly looks like it should be more than 1/4 of a nail. I'm fairly positive that thing that looks like an X is actually a fraction. I just can't read the fraction. But like, these things are typically drawn fairly to scale. This is a 1/2 a nail. This is clearly more than 1/2 a nail. And it told me it needed to be 1/4. And I need it to be fairly correct because we're going to gather all this cap into this spot. I am missing a measurement. Let me read this again. Okay, I'm pretty sure the 1/4 of a nail part, it refers to how far this way it needs to go. So, whatever this was, and I need 1/2 inch added to that. Okay. Roughly here. This is roughly where it needs to end. I just don't know how far, how long the slant should be. Let's go for 1/2 a nail and see where it gets us. And then this corner here needs to be from here kind of curved out. I think I like that a little bit longer. Maybe more like that. Okay. Let's cut out the pattern. I'm going to use more of this lovely dotted Swiss that we've used before. We do need to remember to add a seam allowance, since we didn't do that on the pattern. I'm going to mark 1/2 inch seam allowances, because that's easy for me to remember. That's usually what I do. We have to remember, since I'm using Swiss stop, that the fuzzy bits go on the inside of the cap, which is opposite of how we do it nowadays, but that's how they did it, so that's what we're going to do. Alright, first step is going to be stitching up this back side, which, if I remember correctly, is F to H. I'm already seeing there's no way this is going to be a big enough hole, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it out a little bit more, because all this needs to be gathered into that, and that's after seam allowance. Isn't going to be enough. And even though half an inch of this is going to be seam allowance, I'll cut a little bit more off. And we'll just keep working with it as we go and see what we need to do with that. Because I imagine we're going to be cutting a little bit more off of this as well. Alright, so seam is done. I flat felled it, which is simply the way of finishing it. And now I'm going to run a gathering stitch against this circular part, which is just going to be a very quick running stitch. This part I'm probably going to back stitch. Alright, and there we are as far as the actual shape of the thing. So that's going to fit some very puffy hair, which is a good thing. I think we can now go ahead and trim out the sides, or the front and the sides. I think we're going to use this lace. I don't know if I want to like make a big old floppy thing. We might try this on and see exactly what I want. It is very tight across the head. It's going to fit, it's going to work, so we're going to keep it. But if I were to make this cap again, I'd probably give myself a little bit more ease, just for fit purposes. Maybe about an inch or so across the top or the sides. Really just the sides is what it needs. But I think what I'm going to do is just put this straight on, of course, pleating it. So I think I'm going to finish these edges first. I'm just going to take a 1/4 inch and then another 1/4 inch to make up my 1/2 inch seam allowance. And then we can put this on. There's a cap on a head. And it fits her pretty well. So I'm wondering if it's because I have my hair back in a lower bun, if it's fitting funny back here on my head because of that reason. Because her head's the same size as my head, so it shouldn't be fitting her any differently. Anyway, I had a couple options for ribbon. I think I'm leaning towards the blue. I also have some green moire, but I think I'm leaning towards the blue. And then I'm thinking, once I put the blue on however I want it, do a second row of lace across here with the ribbon in the middle. That's what I'm thinking. Now it's just a matter of actually figuring out how this is going to go. So I don't have a ton of this ribbon. This is left over. Actually, it's left over from making the belt from the that sheer dress we did. So I basically have this to work with. I'm wondering if loopies, like we did with one of the caps that we did, and I tack it in here. I almost like the idea of pleats. I just don't know if I have enough ribbon to do pleats. We do it, make it even. I think that. Okay, that might work. Okay, so let's measure this out. I kind of like how that fits, but maybe just a little bit smaller. It's pretty close, and it would hide the join. It's a little bigger on the bottom, but I think it'll be okay. Now let's try to do the same thing on this side. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And I'm thinking just another row right here. So I think I shall even out these and just stitch them down a couple times. And yeah, I guess we'll come back to stitch this on, which means we'll have a finished cap. Alrighty, there's a finished cap. We'll put it on the head. And there's the back of it with its poofiness. So I suppose we can go ahead and try this on and see what it looks like. And here's the finished cap. So with my 1830s hairstyle. So yeah, it looks really good. I really do like it. So originally I was thinking that it was really tight across my head. When I tried it on, it was. But when I put my hair in the right place, it magically fits really well. So I guess the Workwoman's Guide knew what it was doing. So might need to put ties to kind of tie it right here, because my curls kind of push it back. But overall, it's really nice. I was also a little bit concerned about there not being enough space for my hair, and there's actually like leftover space. So that is really nice. Overall, I'm quite pleased with it. And so I guess we're going to put a bonnet on over this. Pick the blue one. Well, you know, you put on these things, but you realize that your hair is wider at the side, and that perhaps it doesn't. The dog is not here staring at me like I'm crazy. Yeah, hi. Alright, so that is very 1830s. I think it turned out quite well. And you can kind of see the prettiness. You don't really see the ribbon on the cap when you wear the bonnet, but you kind of see a hint of it there. If I move the cap a little bit forward, perhaps, I think it would just depend on how I wear it, and then you can kind of see it that way. So it's not like if I put more frills in it, you might actually be able to see it in the bonnet, but we were working with limited amounts of ribbon, so we did what we could. Alright, so yeah, I'm very pleased with the cap. I think it turned out really well. Another 1830s cap to kind of go in the closet for when we start having events again. But yes, so thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next video.